Hi, this is John at Happy Wife Acres, and today I'm going to install an electrical outlet on a wall where there is none. If you've ever looked at a wall in your house and said, that would be a good place for an outlet, but I'm not quite sure what to do, then this video is for you. If you've done this many times before, this is not the video for you. This is for beginners. And you're probably thinking, really? It sounds very complicated. Well, there are some technical things that I'm going to go over in this video. And most of them are the things that I wish someone had told me. But I grew up in a day where there was no internet. So the information I'm going to share is just stuff I've collected over time. Full disclosure, I am not a licensed electrician. I'm a handyman. I'm a homesteader. I've done this many times before. If you feel at all uncomfortable after watching this video and you still need to have that outlet installed, go hire a licensed electrician. Let's talk about what you're going to need. First, you're going to need the outlet materials. This is the electrical outlet. Very inexpensive. These are like 70 cents. You can get them at Walmart or Big Box. Here's the cover, you recognize that. And this is the box. More on that in just a minute. Also got a piece of wire, also more on that. And some wire nuts in case I need them. For tools, you're going to need the multimeter. If you're unfamiliar with how to use one, you can check out the video I made recently on how to use a multimeter. This is a stud finder, very important tool. Not very expensive. It'll help you find the wood studs in your house. And this one will actually help you find electrical wire behind the walls. This is good not only for this job, but if you want to hang a picture and make sure that the nail hits a stud. Up here I've got a level. Then I've got wire strippers, two different kinds. This is the more expensive kind. This one you can get for about $5. A utility knife. If you saw the video I made on repairing an extension cord, you know that if you're patient, you could probably get away with just the utility knife and not the wire strippers, but for $5, get some wire strippers. All right, some other common tools. Got a screwdriver and some various pliers. This is a wire cutter up here. So let's talk a minute about the box that everything goes in. This is called a gang box, and there are two different kinds. When you go to the big box stores, you'll see ones that say new construction and old construction. You're looking for the one that is old construction, meaning your house is already built. You're not putting the wall up, the wall's already up. Okay, the reason this works for old construction, it has these tabs. Okay. And as you screw this in, these tabs pop up and they grab the wall. Okay. So you wind up cutting a hole in the wall, slipping this in, and then when you screw it, the tabs come out, holds it in place. All right. So old construction gang box. Also on the gang box, you can see in the bottom, these are slots where the wire comes through, because this fits in your wall, and then the wire comes down. These are knockouts. And on this one, you can push it out with a screwdriver, bend it back and forth till it breaks, or you can leave it in and it'll grip the wire. Gang boxes are sold in singles, doubles, triples. This is a single gang box. What that means is it holds a single outlet. If you want more, the principles are all the same. Just buy the bigger gang box. And by the way, this is about $2.50. Let's talk about wire. Wire is also referred to as Nomex, and it's commonly sold in 12 and 14 gauge. If you're not used to working with the gauge numbers, the higher the gauge number, the thinner the wire. This came from when wire was first being made, it was how many times it was being pulled or rolled. And so if it was rolled 12 times, and then you rolled it 2 more times, you got to 14, it was thinner, and then 16, 18, so higher numbers, thin wire. So the 14 is for your lighter duty stuff, like lights and chargers. You'd want to use 12 gauge if you were installing something that pulled a lot more electricity. I like working with the 14 gauge. It's just easier to work with, easier to bend. If you go to the hardware store and ask somebody to get you some wire, you're going to refer to this as 14-2 wire. If you were asking for the 12 gauge, of course, that would be 12-2 wire, or 12-2 Nomex, sometimes called Romex. I'm going to cut the outer sheathing and show you what is inside. So that just comes off, and cut that off later. There's some paper insulation here, which can be torn off. And you're left with 3 wires. Yes, it was called 14-2 wire, and there's 3 wires inside. That's because this bare copper wire is the ground wire, and that one doesn't count. So the 2 wires we're concerned about, the black one and the white one. Okay, so 14-2 wire. Note the colors. One is black, one is white. If you're used to hooking up a DC battery like your car battery, you know black is always ground and the red is hot. Well, in this case, the black is hot. The white is not called ground, but it's called common. Talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about the outlet. Of course, you've got your plug-in. There's the ground. There's 2 of them. Let's go to the sides. On the sides, there are gold screws. If I go to the other side, these are silver screws. These silver screws connect the white wire. The gold screws connect the black wire. And I'll show you how to remember that. So they leave you instructions on the back. I use my piece of wire pointing tool. So right here, this is a strip gauge. It tells you how much to strip. Instructions up here say if you have 14 and 12 wire, you can use the side screws. But if you have 14 wire, you can use these push-ins, but 14 only can go in the push-ins. And the way those work is if you have a bare wire, you just push it in, it grips automatically, and then right here at these grooves, if you need to get it out, you can push in a small screwdriver, it'll release it, you can pull it out. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to wrap it around these screws. It even tells you up here, push wire release slots. It does say use copper wire only. And down here it says white wire. So if you forget, the instructions are right on the back. This is the side for white. This is the side for hot, which is also the black. The rest of it are the screws. And they usually have this black piece to keep them from falling out. Those screw into the gang box. And then on the front side, this is the screw hole that holds the cover plate. Stud finders are very easy to use. They usually just have one button. You put it on the wall, press the button, the light will go out, you move it back and forth, and when you hit a stud, it'll give you a light. Studs are behind your wall, they hold up the wall board, and they are usually 16 inches apart. Okay, the stud is 1.5 inches, so if this comes on and you move it over 1.5 inches and then it goes off, you have found the stud. Alright, bear with me through my bad artistry. Let's talk about DC and AC so you have an understanding of that, and then I'll draw out what it is that we're going to do. I think you should be familiar with DC. Here's a battery, and you have a positive and a negative. To make the light work, you're going to take the positive, run that around, the negative, run that around, and the light comes on. Okay? Simple enough. Let's go over here to AC. In AC, you're actually going to do the same thing. Okay. You're going to connect this black wire to the light, and since I can't draw white on white, I'm going to use blue for the white. Connect that, and the light bulb comes on. Okay. Here's the major difference. In DC, the electricity flows in one direction, from the positive to the negative. In AC, it actually flows in both directions. It alternates, goes one way then the other, one way then the other. And if you have the correct light bulb or motor or whatever it is you're running, then it works by the alternating electrons going back and forth. This is my poor drawing. This is supposed to be an outlet, 2-plug outlet. These are the screws that are on the side of the outlet. So here's the existing one, here's the new one we're going to put in. If I was tapping off of an existing outlet, I would just go from the black side, run a wire down here to this side, and on the white side or the common side, tap that, come over here. Simple enough, right? This is supposed to be a light switch, okay? And here's the new outlet. In a light switch, you've got this white common wire that just passes through the existing box and goes to the fixture. The switch, all it does is connect the wire when you flip it from one position to the other. Okay. That means that this one coming in is always hot. The one on this side is only hot when you've got the switch in the correct position. Okay. That means that if I can tap off this wire right here and bring it around and connect it, and then with the other half of the wire, grab this and connect it on this side, now I've got a working outlet. I have disabled the electricity. The easy way to test for that is your light won't work anymore. If you were in this situation, then you could use the multimeter and make sure that there's no juice, or if you don't have a multimeter, you could plug in a light bulb, fixture, lamp, something, and see whether or not it works. Okay, here we go. So today, this is what we're going to do. Have an existing outlet, run it to a new outlet. Alright, so this is where I want to put the outlet, not on the cat, but right behind the cat. This is Jack. Say hi, Jack. Jack is my needy boy. I want to put it right here. This is in our garage, just outside the door, and we keep a little table here that Jack's sitting on. So I've often thought, man, this would be a good place for an outlet. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that where I'm cutting the wall, there is no stud. Remember, this is for old construction, and I don't want to cut the wall where there is a stud because obviously that gang box isn't going to fit in. So I'm just going to hold this in, and then I'm going to slide it back and forth and try to identify the studs. I can find the cat. So I know that the switch on the inside of the house, the bottom of that is about here. I know that the stud is over here. So somewhere in this area is where the new outlet's going to go, which is perfect. It's right where I want it, just above this table. So here we go. Now we're going to cut walls. I'm going to draw an outline of where I'm going to cut. Please note that on the box, these tabs stay on the outside of the wall. So I got to make a hole that's big enough for the rest of the box to slip in. Okay. I'm going to use a level. You don't have to have a level, but I like my stuff to be straight. So there's the outline of my box. I'm going to use the utility knife, and I'm just going to cut right through it. Small cuts, don't try to go all the way through the first time. Just keep going over it. Okay, what you're going to find usually is some insulation if you're in an outside wall. And that you can always separate, work your way through. Want to make sure this does fit in. And it does. There it is. We don't want to put it in yet though. Just want to make sure that it does fit. So the next thing we're going to do is to turn off the electricity on the inside and disassemble that so that we can connect some wires. Since there are some wall switches just on the other side of the wall, I could connect to there. However, these are both three-way switches, which means they are controlled in two separate places. So instead, I'm going to tap off of the outlet behind the refrigerator. Disconnected the electricity at the breaker box. I cheated on this one. I didn't use the multimeter. I knew because one, the fridge stopped running, and two, there were lights on the front of the fridge that went out. So I knew I had gotten the right one. Plus it's marked fridge on the breaker box. So pulled off the cover plate, removed the top and bottom screw. This pulls out. And what you can see is there's the black wire on this side. You can see it through here, but the white wire is on the other side. And this little thin wire is the ground wire. Remember those two screws? Well, because these two are connected, I can hook the new wire to the unused screw. So black up here, white on the other side, connect the ground over here, and then connect it to the other box. So that's what I'm going to do next. I got the wire through. That is always the hardest part. I actually wound up having to take this box out so I could work with the wires. I would have replaced it with another old construction gang box like I'm going to put on the other side, but I didn't have one. So, I just drilled some holes down here and put some screws, screwed it right into the stud. All right, so this was the original wiring. This is the new wiring. It does come through to the other side. Now it's coming out. So we'll put this side back together. And remember, we're just putting the two whites with the silver screws, the two blacks with the gold screws, all the ground wires, the bare copper wires, here on this green screw. There it is, all put back together. Now just squish it back in the hole and put those two screws in. Cover plate's on, this side's finished. So I'll go ahead and plug in the fridge, move the fridge back. So on this side, I opened up one of the knockouts, pushed the wire through that, close these little wings, push that into the hole. And now I can screw this in, and as I do, those wings will come up and lock it in place. You'll feel the screw getting tight. Don't over tighten it. There it is. Now it's in. I'm going to cut this wire a little shorter, strip these, and connect the new outlet, and again screw them into those holes. So a little easier than the other one. There's only the black, the white, and the bare copper. There it is in the box. Just gonna add the cover plate. This job is done. So one last thing to do, turn on the breaker and see if it works. All right, last step is to test it. We have the multimeter. Again, you could use a lamp. Got it on AC 200. We're expecting 110 to 120. Put this in the holes, and we've got 119.8. So success. I would call this a job well done. So bottom line, is it as easy as it looked? No, it's not. But I want to give you the confidence to at least try. It is not the most difficult thing in the world. The hardest part, again, is fishing that line through the walls. But as far as hooking it all together, it's not that difficult. Turn it off with the breaker, you're not going to get shocked. Like, if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it. At least give it a try. If all else fails, call that electrician, just like you were going to do in the first place. All right, hey, I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, and we will see you soon on the homestead. Bye. Can I film? Just let me film, okay? Come on. Plenty of time for pettings later. Meow! You're a good kitty, okay? Daddy's gotta work.